Look, what's happened is I had a moment a few weeks ago where things got a bit much, and so I moved the living room around. We've all been there, but what that means is I haven't figured out where everything should live properly, nor where the camera should go if I want to vlog. So I've sort of tried to bounce a bit of light off the wall, but the room has limited plug space, and it hasn't fully worked, and you can sort of just see the light behind me. I'm gonna go with I'm calling this an aesthetic choice, because we're having a nighttime chat. We're having a DMC. We don't want it to be too bright and in your face anyway, do we? And if I make it a choice, no one can call me out on it, because it's artistic and I can do what I want. I am an artist. Here's the tea. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about rejection. I had a whole other plan for this video. It's been a bit of an intense couple of weeks. I've had a lot going on, and I wanted to have a slow Monday. I was gonna do a lot of little things, like go for a mooch, maybe bake something nice, read my book, fill my cup on an emotional, spiritual level, and bring you along for the ride and have a bit of a nice day together. And that was all well and good until I got an email. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I'm back in the realms of being self-represented as an actor. There's a story behind that. I'll save it for if I'm ever invited on a podcast. But suffice to say, there are positives and negatives of that. Positive, I can take a little bit of control back in my career. I was in a place where I couldn't be as proactive as I would have liked, and I can be, once again, quite proactive. I think it's important to be proactive as an artist, as a performer, so I like that. The downside is, between that, this, and the weekend job, lot of sort of strain on the brain, a lot of stretching it quite thin, which is why I needed a day to fill my cup a bit. However, I began the day by receiving an email. The email was a rejection from an agency that I'd submitted myself to. They're an agency who I really liked. They've got a really great client base, including a few people that I know. The work that those clients do is really interesting and varied and exciting and very up my street. And I submitted to them what I thought was a really good covering letter explaining who I am, what I bring to the table, and what I might be able to offer. And off it went. And I started to sort of manifest a little bit, or at least I sat there and I tried to think about, okay, it would be really great if this happened. I want this to happen. This feels good. This feels right. This was a great application. I think I bring a lot to this agency. I think they do a lot for me. And then I got the email saying, thank you for your submission. We like looking through the material. Unfortunately, we can't offer you a place at the moment. Perfectly nice, perfectly standard rejection email. But because of where my brain had been that day, I just didn't know what to do. It was the first thing that I saw on Monday morning. I woke up and I wandered off to make myself a brew, and I just checked my email, and there it was. And as I was waiting for the kettle to boil, I just didn't really have any energy, so I sort of sat down, and before I knew it, that sat down turned into a lie down, and before I knew it, I was face down on the kitchen floor. I'd sort of lost it a little bit. I'd sort of found the stress of the past month or so just a bit much, and the month, when I say month, I mean really for the past 3-4 months, in terms of my sense of self as an artist, my sense of self as a creative, as an actor. For a number of reasons, I had somewhat lost it, and I am working really hard to try and get it back. I think when you've been through such a full body growth experience as I have over the past couple of years that you've come along for the ride for, leaving drama school, especially one like Mountview, where I'm getting to exercise my artistic muscles, my sense of self, my creativity on a really professional and like intensive and dedicated basis, like with some of the best teachers, honestly, in the country. People who not only teach these classes, but work in the industry. Like, I've seen one of my teachers in a play. Going from that to being out in the industry on your own is already a little bit like leaving a cruise ship on a dinghy. And you're like, cool, I'm gonna aim for that beautiful idyllic island over there, which definitely has a treasure chest in it, and inside that treasure chest is a contract to play Jean Valjean. But you push yourself away from the cruise, and before you know it, you realise you've got no oars, and actually that island is a lot further away than you thought it was, and you have no idea how you're gonna go. Plus there are waves now, and also there are 500 other dinghies which are manned by like an army of twinks who have all sort of two-stepped their way out of the schools up and down the country. It's wild. Because it all happened so fast, there is a little bit of recalibration that my body has to do now that I'm back in the real world to make sure that I am looking after myself as an artist. And it's been dead hard over the past few months for reasons that we'll go into on whatever podcast someone brings me on. So there I find myself lying down on the kitchen floor, and Penny would come and check in on me if she weren't too busy actively, loudly complaining that she hasn't had second breakfast yet. Rejection is just a part of this industry. They always talk about it, and you have to get used to it. But what they don't tell you is that the worst kind of rejection is not being seen at all. It's not the same thing as, I didn't get the part because I didn't quite nail that audition, or I didn't get the part because what I was bringing into the audition room was just not what they were quite looking for, or because they had someone for another role that they really loved and so they had to try and build the jigsaw around that person. And mine was a fantastic piece, it just wasn't the piece that fit into that jigsaw. That's one kind of rejection. The kind of rejection where you don't even get to show what your piece looks like, as it were. That's an audition for a very different industry. That's a whole other type of rejection. And the kind of rejection where you feel like, hang on, I've been working my little bottom off on this channel as a YouTuber, as a presenter, as a creator for nearly 15 years now. I've done a lot of good work that I'm incredibly proud of. I've built a lot of sustained relationships with business partners, with creative partners. I've picked myself up and with the generosity of so many people, put myself through a really intense course at one of the top drama schools in the country. I've got an awful lot to offer. And I just would love to be able to have a chat with someone. And then you get an email that says, thank you, we appreciate your interest, but we can't offer you because we have other people like you. That kind of hurts a little bit because it means that you don't get to really show. It's one thing to see an application, it's another thing to meet a person. These things just happen. I really want to stress that I'm not just sat here whinging. This is part and parcel of what I signed up for, and I'm more than happy to take the shit because at some point, you hope, it will be golden. That's all well and good, but if I'm going to document my experience in this vlog, in this channel, and if I'm going to share with you the incredible parts of being a student at a drama school and finally living a life pursuing my plan A after all this time, I have to be honest about the times when it really, really hurt. And the other reason I wanted to make a video about this is because I was chatting to one of my tutors and she suggested that I do vlog this kind of experience because there are going to be other performers out there who really relate to that. And the other thing that felt like it would be a good thing to document is that when I make videos, I always try and find a positive end note. I don't know if you have noticed this over the years, but I can't sit, or at least I can't put out into the world purely negative feeling. I have shared low moments. I've tried to express that we're all human and everyone goes through ups, downs, lefts, rights, spirals, staircases. What's the opposite of a spiral? You might say we're all on a journey. And I've never shied away from that, but I always try to leave the video on something that you can watch over your lunch break or over your breakfast or, let's be honest, on the toilet. I want to send you off into the world with a thought of positivity, like a nugget of hope, I suppose. And it isn't just for you. If I say something out loud like that, it does it up here for me as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm gonna need that at the moment. Apparently, a large percentage of the people who graduate from drama school at the moment give up the ghost within a year. And I don't want to be part of that statistic. And in order to not be a part of that statistic, I need to keep a little PMA, a little positive mindset. And so here it is. I didn't get to fill my cup in the way that I wanted to yesterday. I didn't bake anything. I didn't even get myself a sweet treat. After a lot of affection from her indoors and a curious sniff from Cat indoors, I got back on my feet, I made a coffee, and I went and got back into bed and read a bit of my book, which was nice. It's a good book. I sat up and I sent a few emails to follow up on some chats that I had last week that were really nice. Spent a bit of time thinking about the narrative possibilities within pro wrestling, as is my wont. And then I started to think about, okay, well, it's only midday. What do I want to do for the rest of the day? I know, there's a book I've had my eye on for a really long time. So I got up and I went all the way into town and I found it. I'll go and get it to show you. This one is this beautiful photography collection of London theatres that was taken during lockdown. That's the Sondheim. The other palace is in here as well. Theatres all over this lovely city. And I thought I would get it and I would sit with this, have a flick through it and look at some of my programmes. I have kept every programme for most of the shows that I've seen in the 10 years I've lived in London. Some of them I foolishly got rid of, others I've kept. Because I wanted to remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm a part of this community. Even if I'm brand new, even if I'm in my little dinghy and I'm trying to find my bearings, I'm trying to see my compass that doesn't point north, how it's gonna get me onto that little island, I'm still working on it and I'm still a part of this community and that feels nice. I watched a couple of vlogs, and then by the end of the day, I had about an hour or so to myself, and I got up and I practiced a song. And I think going from lying on the floor at the start of the day to trying to figure out exactly where to put the letter A in the word grand. But it's been grand, perfectly grand, 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 is a success. Rejection is rough. It never feels nice, but it is a part of life. I wanted to say this industry, but it's a part of life. We all have to experience it at some point or another. And it's okay to think that it absolutely sucks. But when you are met with those moments that make you feel like there is very little point and you just want to find yourself on the kitchen floor, one step at a time. Just strip everything back, make a little bit less noise. What is the next thing you're going to do? Is it make that coffee? Great, you've made the coffee. What's the next thing after that? Is it walk back into your bed? That's fine, get in. It's comfy, you've made it so. That book was nice. It's nice to do nice things for yourself sometimes, isn't it? Read a little bit of it. And slowly but surely, you can take a really shit day and end it doing something that fills your cup a little bit. It doesn't need to fill it to the brim, but if you can put a few drops in there, I consider that a job well done. Thoughts?